Hello, and good evening. Welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. Thank you for being part of today's program. On today's program, we're going to have a wonderful time because we're going to have a special guest with us tonight. And it is going to be one of those programs that you will remember for a long time. I don't know, about 15 years ago or thereabout, I met this couple uh, in a church setting. And over that period, we've become very good friends. And they are special to me. They are unique. They are wonderful. They are a great couple. God loving, God fearing, very open, very straightforward. Always, there's always a smile on their faces. And for me, they're one of the few people that every time I have the opportunity, every time we spend, every time that we spend together, either face to face or over the phone or just in gatherings, they are always a blessing. So I thought, I don't want to keep this gift to myself alone. I want to share it with others. So I started talking to Tony about the possibility of doing some things together, especially on this platform of becoming a better person than you are. As you know, this platform is geared towards equipping us, empowering us, helping us to learn, to grow, to develop, to increase, to become better than we were so that we can achieve more. And so, Tony has developed this program called Tactics, and it is based around the principles that govern the game of football. Now, for some of you, you may be wondering, what has football got to do with it? Well, first are addicted to it, especially if you support a team that is always winning, like my team, Chelsea. I'm still praying for the Arsenal supporters. God will grant you emotional fortitude. But jokes apart, football is something that we all either watch, play, or comment about, or say something about. Hi, Tony. It's good to see
How
you.
you doing, Sunday?
Yeah, how you doing? I was just trying to talk briefly about this program. And we all play football. We've heard about it. We've read comment about it. Everybody, when it comes to football, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody is either a referee or a better player or a better goalkeeper, a better manager, and all of that. But what we're looking at tonight is not just about your team that you support or your country that you support or the player that is your favorite player. We're talking about what else can we learn? What more knowledge can we extract from this beautiful game? This game that has become almost a religion to some. What else can we extract from it to add to our lives, to not just continue to pay for the season ticket and shout your lungs out and cry when you lose and dance when you win? What more can you gain out of this knowledge, this experience, this interaction that we've all had, we've all developed, and we're all enjoying with the game of football? And I'm so grateful that Tony has come up with this program called Tactics, and he's going to talk more about it. But just as a way of introducing him and the program, I've read through some of the materials that Tony has kindly provided for me, and it's amazing how seeing those materials, reading through them, and asking questions, how much more I understand just the game of football on its own, and how much more I can appreciate what goes on behind or beyond the 22 young men, the 22 men chasing after a big bladder. how much more is involved. But more than that, when I watch football now, I watch football from a different angle, from a different perspective. I'm not just watching football to see who is the best dribbler, who is the best player, who is the best goalkeeper. I now watch football from a point of view of what I have read from this note on tactics. So tonight it's not about Arsenal or Chelsea. It's not about Manchester or Sheffield Wednesday. Tonight is about you and I. We've traveled long enough with this game. We've supported every team, winning, losing, and those that are always in between. But what more? Is there anything else? Could anything else come out of it that will benefit us outside of the emotional euphoria and the emotional turmoil that we go through week in, week out? So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am so honored to have on this program Tony Bryce, and you will hear some wisdom tonight. I would strongly recommend that this is not a program that you watch once and you go away. In fact, we plan to do this for the next 2 or 3 weeks, because what we need to cover is so much more than what we can cram into one program. And now that we've got him, I'm not prepared to let him go easily like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to Become a Better Man platform, Tony Bryce. Hi, Tony. How are you?
How are you doing, Tunde? It's really, really good to see you and to be on your very popular broadcast. I am delighted to be here, really. And so, yeah, some of you perhaps have never met me before. I am not somebody who frequents Facebook very much, but when I do have an opportunity to kind of show my wares or make people aware of what I've been up to, then I really, really like to have the opportunity to do that. So yeah, Tunde, so thank you really for the opportunity. It's a privilege.
Thank you,
really
sir.
is.
The honor
So
is
thank
ours.
you. All right. So gosh, where do I begin? So my name is Tony Bryce, and I live in Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, up north there. Yeah,
Up
beyond
north.
the up north.
Yes.
And so yeah, so how did I come about this program, and a little bit about me? So I played for my school football team, and I guess like some of you, I spent a lot of my time on the bench observing the beautiful game. I wasn't one of those popular strikers. I did play striker. I wasn't one of those popular strikers that people would think, you know what, bring him on. He's the kind of the go-to person, the target person. I was probably one of those super subs, one of those people you bring on at a particular moment in the game to have an influence. And that's what principle number one, the first one I'm going to mention, really. Sometimes you sit on the bench and you think to yourself, when is my opportunity? When is it going to be my turn? When can I show others what I'm capable of, what I'm doing? I've been observing the game, and I really have a part to play in this game, but somehow it's not my time yet. And so one of the things I learned really from on the bench is those times where the time is ticking away and it looks like I'm not going to feature, I'm not going to get the opportunity to play my part, to do my thing, to show the world what I can do and what I can bring and the difference and the impact that I can make. And then 85th minute, I'm called into action. This is my big moment, my opportunity in front of the lights to show them what I can do. And so I do have a lot of experience, I guess, unfortunately, as some of you might have, being the super sub, the person brought on to be the impact player, the person brought on to make a difference. And sometimes you find yourself.
Are you saying you are only gonna only gonna?
Well, I remember, those moments when the super subs come on and they make a difference.
Yeah.
And granted, most of us would like to be in the first 11. We'd like to play a significant part. We would like to have the full 90 minutes where we can show what we can do. We've been training, we've been disciplined, we've observed, we've been watchful, we've been paying attention, we've kept our fitness up, and we're waiting for our moment to make a difference. And I've had the opportunity to come on and sometimes make a difference. I guess I've also had the opportunity of being substituted, where actually I've played my part, I've done my bit, and actually it's time for someone else to come and take the baton on, as it were, to use another sporting metaphor. and to make a difference. I have that experience too. But what I want to pretty much do today, so the tactics program, if I can say a little bit about this, there's lots of things we could talk about. There's lots of things about the beautiful game. And if you're an observer of life and of people, and that's one of the things that I pretty much love and enjoy doing. I am someone who reads people, and I like to observe. I think wisdom is found everywhere. And if you're observant and you're keen and you're interested and you've got ears to hear, then you look around you. You can learn from those who do well and those who haven't done so well. There are lessons to be learned, and I go around proverbially with a notebook and pen, trying to capture every learning experience that I can. And so one of the things I want to particularly talk about today is what I call the post-match report. The post-match report. So what I mean by the post-match report, after you've done your 90 minutes, after you've completed the day, and depending on how the day goes, you might be euphoric, you might be celebrating, you might be jubilant, you might be saying, what a great day I've just had. Or actually, you might be commiserating. You might have experienced something called loss or defeat or a disappointment or a setback. And the days happened. And we all get, as it were, 90 minutes. We all get, as it were, 24 hours to have the biggest impact we can have on the day. Some you win, some you lose, and sometimes you draw. And so what I mean by win, I mean the desired outcome, the best possible outcome, the win. And we all want to feel that the emotion of being victorious, of being triumphant, of overcoming, we all like that experience. And you can tell when you watch a game and you have a winner and a loser, the emotions involved, the jubilation if you're a winner. And if you've not done so well, the sadness, the tears. I've seen grown men cry because they just haven't succeeded. They've had a setback and they have to turn it around. And then there's the draw. And so what I particularly want to do today is introduce you to a way to evaluate and to report on your day, a way to capture how the day went. How did it play out? And this is a curious question because we often ask ourselves, don't we? We ask our children, how was school today? We ask our spouse and our partners, how was work? How did the day play out? If you were going to rate this day between 1 and 10, what score might you give it? Or what single word sums up the day that you've just had? And so when I refer to the post-match report, I'm talking very much about how you might evaluate and report on about the events of the day. Did it go well? Did it not go so well? And we can make judgments about that based upon moments in the day. And if those moments have been pleasant or unpleasant, we tend to remark on the day and how it played out. And so sometimes you might get a response like, it was all right, it was okay, or it was a good day, or actually it was an awful day, or it was a terrible day, or what can I possibly say about today? I'm just glad it's over. Thank God that day is over. And so sometimes we get, more often than not, I guess, the odd word answer like, yeah, it was fine. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Doesn't tell us very much, though, does it? There's lots that would have happened in that day, but a one-word answer doesn't quite do it. And so it's a feeling level response, i.e., it's an evaluative question that says, tell me in a word, because we're probably really inviting the person just to say, give us a word. It was okay. But okay doesn't tell us very much. Oh, it was good. Doesn't tell us a great deal. So what we want to do to take it a little further is to be able to, what I call, substantiate your superlatives. If it was a great day, then how do you come by that judgment? What was it about the day that was good? When you ask the question, how did your day go? What we want to hear is some detail. So here's an example. Today was a great day because, there's that connective right there, because I managed to complete everything I set out to do on time without incident. And so that's more than just we won, we lost, we drew. It gives detail. It allows us to come to a judgment. There's some description there. There's some evidence there based upon criteria. For this person, it's a great day because they managed to complete everything they set out to do without incident on time. So what I want to introduce to you, and there's many themes in this tactic program, but I'm going to just introduce this particular one theme. We cover it. It's quite a high tempo presentation today, so if I'm speaking pretty quickly, or if I'm going at pace, then that's probably one of the game management styles of moving quickly, going through the paces with rhythm and on the front foot. And so I'm on the front foot today, and I'm going pretty fast because there's a lot of detail to cover. But I want to introduce you to a way to evaluate and to report on your day or a week or a moment in time or an experience after the event. And we ask these questions now. So let me just clarify a couple of things. If football is not your beautiful game, that is absolutely okay. As Tunde rightly said, we're not talking about teams. We're talking about what can be learned. And so there's something to be learned from the beautiful game. So I hope you get a lot of value from this. So the win is the best possible result. It's success, it's victory, it's a triumph. The loss, it's the outcome you really don't want. It's a defeat, it's a setback, it's disappointment. And the draw, it's not the best or the worst result, somewhere in the middle. It's the outcome that you accept, a stalemate, a tie. So let me introduce you to some of these things in terms of post-match analysis, ways in which you might report how the day went, drawing upon football analogies. Now, Mama said we'd have days like these, and we have good days, we have not so good days, we have bad days, we have days that we'd like to just chalk off and say, you know what, let's just put that one behind us and let's move on because it didn't go so well. So I want to introduce you to a way to evaluate and to report on your day, all from the beautiful game. So my first one is this, the 6-0 win, the convincing win. So sometimes your day is a little bit like this. It's a skillful display of your quality and your prowess. Today, you imposed your will and your game plan. You approached it with confidence and authority. You turned up today, and this is the language we use, don't we? You turned up today. You were on point. You were on it today, in the zone, in flow. You brought your scintillating best self to the game. You brought your A game. You were on fire today, on the front foot, and you were awesome. Here's the because, your organization and movement, your energy, your timing and pace, how you exchanged and interacted today. My goodness, how you used individual brilliance and skill and techniques and tactics, where your mind was at, where your body was at, how you flowed and moved. You were brilliant today. And now, after that 6-0 win, you're feeling on top of the world, victorious, triumphant. All 11 areas of your life turned up today. And now I would love to have every day of my life
every day like that.
Every day where I've won convincingly. I have bossed it today. I have been on my A game. I was brilliant. I don't always, in fact, unfortunately, I guess, I don't have many of those days. I have some of those days where today I walked it today. Today I was more than a conqueror today. I would triumph. Now, I've let myself off the hook because not in a negative way, but sometimes it can be an unreasonably high expectation to operate at this level every day, to bring your A game all the time. Some days it's a win and 3 points is a win. And when you score 6 without reply, it's a win and you get 3 points for that. And I wish I had more convincing wins. But when they happen for you, it's a really good thing. So that's the first one, 6-0, a convincing win. Then back-to-back wins. So the convincing win was not a one-off. Now you have back-to-back wins behind you. You have what's called momentum. And when you have momentum, your tail is up, your confidence is high, you're putting together a good run, you're in a good vein of form, you're enjoying what we call a purple patch, you're enjoying a good moment, your game plan is playing off, you're experiencing victory over familiar and unfamiliar circumstances. Now, when I say unfamiliar, I mean those away matches. You know, when you go to somebody else's ground and it's their stomping ground and their fans outnumber yours, and this is not your comfortable place, and maybe you've had to travel far and it's a bit hostile or difficult, or it's unfamiliar and uncomfortable to you. That's what I mean by an away match. And by a home match, I mean when it's your familiar ground, your stomping ground, where your supporters and your fans outnumber those who are against you. And so when you have back-to-back wins, it means you went to unfamiliar places and you went to comfortable places and you achieved the result that you wanted. And so when you get back-to-back wins and victories, it's a tremendous feeling. You feel unstoppable. You feel almost like that team that we won't talk about, where you went a whole season without losing. It's like we're feeling
invincible. Say
the
invincible. Well, they've never been visible since then. So
well, we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that too much. But you know what? If you have 6 wins, there's still another 32 to go. And if you know what you're doing, then you may be competing or involved on 4 fronts, because you're bringing tactic and skills and ability and application and a good game plan and a tuned game plan that you work with and you amend to suit what you're up against. And so back-to-back wins is an incredible thing. And so I wish I had more of these too. But here, let's just flip it a little bit. Then there's the string of defeats, a run of defeats, where you're experiencing a poor run of form, where familiar and unfamiliar circumstances are getting the better of you, where you're slipping up and making unforced errors and you can't seem to sort your feet out or find your place in the game. Or the game is getting away from you and your head is fallen, your chin is down and your energy and confidence is low, and you expect the worst. You're in a downward spiral and not sure how to turn it around, how to take back possession, how to seize control. And you're concerned that if this slump continues, you will be down and out, and now you're feeling unsafe, and that's not a great place to be. So that's 3.
Who is that going through that right now?
Who's that? Oh, yes.
I'm not saying anything about Tottenham,
we won't talk teams, but we all know in our experiences as human beings, where we have a slump, where we just can't seem to get it together, to get our ducks in a row, to get momentum going. And every time we lose, sometimes significantly, sometimes we just miss it in some areas, but the slump continues. So we're concerned about that. Next one is what we call a small loss, a 1-0 loss. So it could be significant, but it's one that you should be able to bounce back from. Not a crushing defeat. You weren't hammered, trounced, thrashed, routed, or battered, as we call it in the game. You lost by a small margin, and we should be able to bounce back from that. Then there's the 3-2 loss, where it's a hard-fought, battling display, but still you fall short. And we have days like those, where today you felt we had some bruising encounters today. Oh, we had some hard tackles that caused us to walk away gingerly today. We felt the studs, we felt the knocks, we felt the bruises. And actually today, we couldn't quite get the victory. But you know what? We go again, to coin a phrase. We go again. Today is another day. And then the converse of that is the 3-2 win, a hard-fought victory, where you get the 3 points. But it wasn't easy. It was a dogged display. You had to dig in deep. You had to play to the final whistle. You really had to bring your best self, and you really had to be dogged and determined and persistent and tenacious. But you did enough to cross the line. And so well done to you. 3 points. Then there's perhaps the most hard experience, the crushing defeat, the 7-1 defeat. And I know a team, my national team, we won the World Cup not too long ago, it had a crushing defeat. And again, I won't mention that, I don't want to tear up. But a crushing defeat is when you've been comprehensively outplayed.
Did you say Brazil?
We said we wouldn't talk teams.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I thought you said Germany against Brazil, but we will leave that.
Oh, you've done it again. So I'm talking about where you've been comprehensively outplayed, outfought, outmaneuvered, outdone. You were schooled today. Perhaps you just didn't show up, or you let your head drop because you conceded early, or perhaps you were up against a situation that is a class above your current level. And your ego is bruised, and all you can do is just take the lesson and get to the gym and take some time out to get to develop your skill and your tactics and your game plan, so that the next time around you can make a better fist of it. And so sometimes a crushing defeat is hard, but it teaches us something. It really
Yes,
does.
let's.
It's valuable. Okay, next one, the 0-0, the uneventful day. And just listen to the emotions here. It's a no-score draw, a bore draw. That's what they call it, a bore draw, a stalemate, an uneventful experience that you would rather forget, a non-event, a tie, a deadlock, a dead heat. Probably also a very frustrating day because you didn't make your efforts count. Maybe you toiled all night and caught nothing. Still, you didn't concede. And you've got to see the positives in this. Still, you didn't concede. It's 1 point. And so you move on to the next game. The next game. Then there's the 1-0. Just enough. Not masterful, but enough. Perhaps you managed to make just one of your many attempts count. Perhaps you nicked a goal in the closing moments. So still it's 3 points. So well done to you. And we have days like that.
Especially
Yeah.
if your manager is Alex Ferguson,
Oh,
you find the time to get on board.
Fergie time, yeah, Fergie time. Where you did a little extra. Give me an extra 5 minutes just to wrap this thing up, to get this thing done, and we've done it just in the nick of time. And that's what that is, in the nick of time. Not a great strategy. We want to get this game in the bag with change, with time to spend. Sometimes we nick it right at the end. We do what's necessary. Then it's the 2-2 draw. You can't complain. You were equal to the task. You didn't lose. You scored and conceded in equal measure. You gave as good as you got. And sometimes you walk away from the day thinking, I didn't win, but you know what? I didn't lose either. I did enough. I gained, and I had in return in equal measure. Then there's another one here. This is the roller coaster win, the 5-4. Now, these are difficult games, but sometimes we have days like this, what I would call a heart-stopping, thrilling, nail-biting, nerve-shredding, stressful, edge-of-your-seat, frenetic.
Just drag yourself across the line.
Oh my gosh. Where there's a mixture of excitement and nervousness, where it could have gone either way. And everybody was watching you thinking, which way is this going to go? You score, they score, they score, you score, then they score, then they score. And it's like, my heart can't take this. It's thrilling and it's exciting, but it shreds your nerves. And if you walk away with a win, that's a great thing. And sometimes you have days where you just think the whole 24 hours, the whole working day was just like, oh gosh, that was just so much. And I am exhausted after that. You have days like that. Then there's the inconsistent run of games where you draw and you win, and you lose and you lose, and then you draw and you win, and you draw and you lose and you win. In other words, very inconsistent, very up and down. It's erratic, it's unpredictable, where you just don't know how you're going to be or how the day is going to go. And so those are days when you just think to yourself, I need to get some rhythm and some momentum behind me. I need to turn my losses into draws, or my draws into wins. And how do you do that? How do you turn that around? And so the inconsistent run is one of those battles that we must deal with sometimes. And I would probably say we just need some time away with the coach on the training ground, away from the bright light. Sometimes you need to take some time out to think, you know what, I gotta hit the gym, I'm gonna work on some stuff, I need to improve my performance. There needs to be a level of consistency here. And so I can just walk away feeling a little bit more victorious and not like I've lost or just missed out. And so that's the run of inconsistent results. And then there's the reversal. The reversal it's where you win convincingly. Let's say you win 3-0 at home, and why wouldn't you? It's home, it's comfortable, it's your familiar spot, it's your stomping ground. You know this area, and so you do well. And then you have to take it away. Then. So you're winning 3-0, and then you go to their place and you lose 4-0, and the game ends up over aggregate a 4-3. So that we call a reversal, where you get off to a flying start, but you floundered, perhaps due to complacency. Perhaps you thought this was a done deal. It was in the bag, a walk in the park, an easy and inevitable and certain win. And so you've got to watch this, you know. We're all going to watch this. Those days when you think, you know what, I got this. This is easy for me. We're already way ahead of the chasing pack. On paper, how could we possibly lose? And you end up doing that. It's what you call starting well. You did run well. What happened? You know? And so that's the reverse. And then the opposite of that is where you're losing. The first time around, the first leg, it's 3-0 to them. This situation's got the better of you, and you think to yourself, oh no, we're not going to. Can we turn this around? Can we have what's called an incredible comeback, the miraculous turnaround, where
just go to Istanbul?
That's what I'm talking about. The miracle of Istanbul, where you turn it around against the odds, against the run of play. You didn't give up. Your head didn't drop. You kept on believing. You kept on working at it, and it paid off. It's the recovery from the setback, and we call these things the miraculous turnaround because it feels miraculous. 3-0 down, 3-1. You're feeling. Could this be a turnaround? Could this be 3 apiece? And the opposition is like worried, because they thought they had this in the bag. And now you're making strides. You've had the breakthrough. Yeah, you've had the breakthrough, and now you're feeling hopeful. You're feeling optimistic. Could this be it? And they're worried now. And now you turn it around, and that's magnificent. So let's just look a little deeper. Let's look at the wins. Let's look at the wins, the losses, and the draws. What more can be learned so that we have a little bit more detail about the win? So here's a few for you to consider. Number one, the mediocre or scrappy goal, i.e., today I wasn't brilliant. Today I was not on it. But you know what? Somehow it worked in my favor. For example, it ricocheted off my bum. Or it bounced off my shin. It wasn't brilliant. It wasn't fantastic, but it was enough. It crossed the line, and it all counts. And so sometimes you do something that wasn't brilliant, fantastic, but it was enough. And I wouldn't recommend it as a strategy. But you know what? Sometimes you're fortunate. Sometimes the lines fall out for you in a favorable place. Sometimes when the cookie gets crumbled, you get the lion's share, as it were. Yeah. So sometimes it's a scrappy goal, but they all count. Number two, the spectacular individual goal. Now, I like these. This is where you bring your best self and how you put it away. I'm talking about top con. I'm talking about the way you maneuvered and tackled and went past that one person and past another person and another.
You know what that reminds me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hazard against Arsenal. Oh, what a goal.
Yes.
Eden Hazard against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Or Maradona against England.
Yes. Those spectacular individual goals are what we call goal of the season, where today what you did and how you did it was incredible. It was spectacular. And sometimes you win, and it's because you were on it today, and well done you. Then the third one is a well-worked team goal. So it wasn't just about an individual. It's what we were able to do today, all 11 of us.
Team effort.
The team effort, where you string together 20 or 30 passes from goalkeeper to defender to midfield to striker. We passed and we moved and we ran into space and we created space and we went down the flanks and we probed and we inquired and we pressed, and then somebody puts it away beautifully. And it's an incredible, well-worked team goal. I love those. It's not down to an individual brilliance. It's what we together were able to do. Because we had our minds were on it, and we were drilled and focused, and we were feeling, our tails were up, and we were feeling we could do this.
Yeah.
And then there's the fourth one, the own goal, which I call that favor from the opposition, where you didn't, it was nothing to do with you. Somebody else didn't turn up, and because of that, you got the position. That's what I'm talking about. Favor from the opposition, where somebody just gave it to you. And then number 5 is a tap-in or an assist, where you're just in the right place at the right time. Somebody else did all the hard work, and it's an assist. And you can't really miss an assist, where all you've got to do is just tap it in. And so sometimes we get those.
Especially if your name is Jermaine Defoe.
There you go, Jermaine Defoe, where in the 6-yard box, somebody else did the assist, put it on the plate for you, put it on your foot, and all you have to do is just tap it in. It's a good moment, and thank the Lord, as it were, for those people who are very good at assisting, who just make it happen for you. And that's wonderful. We all need to be providing assists, but also we all need the support of our assistants. And then there's this one. I was on it today. There are days where you wake up thinking, you know what, I am feeling so on my A game today. And so sometimes you're on it, or you took your chances. Life doesn't always create many opportunities, many chances, but when you get them, you've got to take them. You've got to take them. And sometimes chances go begging. Mm-hmm. There was the opportunity to have the conversation and you missed it. Yeah. There was the opportunity to sign up and volunteer and you missed it. And so we want to take our chances, the chances that come our way. And then the last one, just for the purpose of our high tempo pressing game, is when you dig in and persist to the end. Sometimes you don't win.
Throw the kitchen sink at the opponent.
There you go. Sometimes you are doing everything and you still, it's 86 minutes gone and still, but you keep on and you keep on. You dig in, you persist to the very end. So that's how some games are won. What about how some games are lost? Number 1, self-inflicted goal. I messed up. Sometimes we just couldn't get our feet together. It's in self-inflicted. We did this to ourselves. Oh my goodness. And those are not great. When we slip up or there's a howl and we think, oh my goodness, it was self-inflicted. They didn't do this to me. I did this to myself. I slept in. I was speeding. It was me. It was me. And then number 2, I wasn't on it today. There were days when you turn up and you think to yourself, I ain't up for it today. I ain't going. I'm just not on it today. Or number 3, the opponent was formidable. Sometimes you encounter some situations, and no matter how well you're doing it, no matter how you bring it, somebody else right now is just a cut above. Their current level just surpasses yours. And you know what? That doesn't mean it's fixed. It means I got to work on some stuff still. So sometimes some situations are just bigger than you. But you can grow and you can develop your skill, and you can learn and develop your skills and your strength and learn how to next time round. Then when you misread a costly situation, this happens sometimes in the beautiful game where you just handballed it, you didn't mean to, you just misread it and it cost you. Or you underestimated the challenge, i.e. you are in the first place, you are at the top, and now you are playing against a team that's much lower down, and you think to yourself, come on. Every time we've played this team, we've beaten them and beaten them comprehensively. But this time round, it's those banana skin teams where you think, you know what? They are 2 leagues down. We're in number 1 and they're like position number 65 in the leagues. And it's like, we've got this. And then you end up losing.
That's the miracle of the FA Cup.
That's the FA Cup. These random one-off moments that put together some things and you think to yourself, we got this. This shouldn't be a problem to us. And they're your bogey team, i.e. we just seem to slip up against these people all the time. We shouldn't do what we do. And sometimes you will have bogey teams, bogey situations in your life where you think, this should not be difficult for me, but every time I face this, I struggle. And or bananas, I keep on slipping up. Or it's where the underdog takes you out because you underestimated the size of them or the bark of them, and we've got to work on that. Or on this occasion, I wasn't good enough, or I took my eyes off the ball, or I didn't convert my chances. And here's a real big one, and I just want to just mention this a little bit. Number 1, you've got to evaluate your game plan. Did I set this thing up right in the beginning? When I thought about this situation that I'm about to face, did I set my game plan in a way that would be most useful to me, most helpful, most efficient and effective? And sometimes it's a failure of the game plan. We just didn't set it up right. Our approach, our formation, our setup, our lineup, our strategy, our approach, our movement, our reading of this game wasn't right, and therefore we miss it. Or
Yeah.
actually, we had a great game plan, but we just didn't work it. We had it on paper, but we didn't
But
work it. And or the game data. Now the game data will tell you everything. It runs through everything that happened in that day. It's what we call the black box data. What we can learn from what happened after the event. And the game data will tell you the movement, the assists, where you took how many chances you took, how well those chances, how did you move, how much ground did you cover? And sometimes the game data gives us honest feedback that even though you had a great game plan, you just didn't work it. And here's the evidence. The feedback tells you that you just didn't run enough, you didn't put away your chances, you just didn't bring your A game. And so let me just conclude with this one. It's about the draw. Sometimes, and it's easy, just didn't do enough to win it. You did good. Absolutely, you did good, but you just didn't do enough to win it. It's those interview moments where somebody says, you know what, you were just pipped by a single point by someone else. You did great. We can't fault you. It's just that somebody else just did a little more. A little more. These marginal gains, these small details that count in a big way. Sometimes we're not required to change many things. Sometimes we just a tweak. Sometimes it's just a tweak that makes all the difference. Or here's another reason why things are drawn. I was equal to the task, but not superior to it. I matched what was required. I matched what was required. So here's my concluding statement, and I'm open to any questions you might have, Tunde. Here's my concluding statement. Winning is wonderful, and it's right to celebrate each win. But to build for a successful future over a season, over a lifetime, we must learn how each day, how each game, how each moment, how each experience was won and lost, and our part in this. So a review of the key moments of the day over a season, and look at the facts, the actual final score, not the one hoped for, the evidence, the numbers, what I call the black box data, the statistics, the details will give you honest feedback of how the day played out. And we do have a part in that, of course. Not entirely down to us. Sometimes you get an unfair decision and you think, that was so unfair.
This referee needs to go to Specsavers.
Well, you know what? Maybe even the video assistant referee needs to go to Specsavers sometimes. Because what I'm saying is that sometimes, and we talked about this in tactics, sometimes it's unfair. Sometimes it feels unjust. That was a legitimate effort, a legitimate goal, and it was ruled out. And those moments, my friend, are difficult. How you manage when it feels unfair. We were robbed is a familiar phrase. And so sometimes we've got to add those days up and what they look like. So the black box data refers to learning from what happened after the event. It's about understanding the story of the day, the wins, the losses, and the draws, and how they stack up over a season. And so the difference between the FA Cup and the league is this. In the FA Cup, these tournament games, it's knockout. You encounter a situation, you win, lose, and that's it. If you lose, you're out. Whereas in a league game, you are up against top teams, familiar teams, home and away situations, and you've got to be able to put together a good run and to do enough. You don't have to win them all. You just need to win enough. And if you lose a few, not a problem. You mustn't just lose too many. And sometimes you draw, but they all add up. They all add up to the final score, to the final season. And if the season hasn't been great, guess what? There'll be another one next year. a new season where you can take everything that you've learned and your game plan and your work in the gym and going through the drills, going through the lessons, applying yourself to learning, bringing your best self next time round. And so this is simply an introduction, a high tempo introduction to this thing called the post-match analysis. What can we learn from the day? And so just by way of illustration, you may not wish to do this, of course, but here, my son and I've got two boys and they're great kids. And so we had a conversation. How has the day been? I said, you know what? It's looking like a win. It's 15 minutes to go before home time. It's looking like a win. I think I've done enough to win it. And so that was like a 2-1. And so I would walk away from that. He replied, oh, Dad, today it looks like I'm losing like Brazil did against Germany. Let's call it 7-1. This has just not happened for me today. And then my wife replied, and she got in on the act and said, you know what, and then she talked about what her score was. And so, you know, it's just a way of saying today was a win, today was a loss, today was a draw. This is how the game played out for me. And sometimes there's just learning to be had. And so I hope you found that introduction to one of many themes about the beautiful game interesting and insightful and maybe a little thought-provoking in terms of how your day plays out. Mama said we'll have days like this, good days, bad days, but you know what, whatever those days are, there's lessons to be learned, even from a crushing defeat. There are lessons to be learned. So bring your best self to every game, every opportunity. Learn from every situation, the wins, the losses, the draws. Ride the challenges. Sometimes you've got to do that. Plan your way. Sometimes you're the underdog. Sometimes you should do well. Apply effort. Be disciplined. Be drilled. Receive good coaching. Be fit and ready. Take your chances. And if you can't create them, make sure you take them. Run into space. Probe every which way possible. And you'll get more wins. And even if they're 1-0 wins, they all count. They all count. And again, finally, don't look too far ahead. What's the next game in front of you? Whatever's put in front of you, it's the next one that you've got to deal with. And sometimes you may have 3 or 4 fixtures and you're thinking about that. Let's focus on what is in front of us today. Let's see what we can do to turn this thing into a win, into a triumph, into a victory. And so, yeah. Tunde, thank you again. Thank you again for this opportunity.
No. We should thank you for. If this is the introduction, I can't wait to see what the content. This is just the starter. I can't wait for the main meal. I can't wait for the dessert. But you see, first of all, I want to thank you. In life, one of the things that I have learned, in fact, I was saying, I did a leadership training last week for somebody in London. And I was saying to this person, I said, if you ask me what is my life maxim, what is that one word, one phrase, one sentence that defines who I am in life? And it's, I'm always ready to learn.
Yeah.
I'm always ready to train people, to learn and to share, to teach and to be taught. And so tonight has been that opportunity for me and for a lot of us here, not just to hear what you're saying, but to be able to distill that and apply it not to the game of football, which is our frame of reference, but to our ways of life, to the way we live our lives, the way we capture our moment, the way we respond to what the day brings.
Yes.
Because you, like you said, you may have a great plan, good tactics, all your players are on top form.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you cross the white line, now you are you are in the game, and suddenly it just not happening. The passes are not cohesive. The shots are going wild. The throw-ins are not reaching anybody. The corners are being, you play penalty into throwing and all of that. All of that can happen. But what this this lesson tonight is saying to us is that's not the time to drop your guards.
That's
That's
right.
not the time to walk off the pitch. That's not the time to shrug and start infighting amongst yourselves. That's the
Hmm.
time for you to recognize, you know what? Today's game is going to be a grind. So let's buckle up and ride it out.
Yes.
Today's game
Yes.
is going to be a challenge. So let's rise up to the challenge. And sometimes, even when you have risen up to the challenge, when you have dig your heels in and say, it's not going to happen here, sometimes it will still happen. But at the end of the day, you want to be in a position where you could say, I gave it my best shot.
That's right.
You want
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
in a position where you can walk away and say, we had a plan. We worked our plans, just that the plan didn't work. Maybe because of the opposition, maybe because of the environment, maybe because we are playing away, maybe whatever it is. But put yourself all the time, every time in a position where you could say, I did my best. I
Yes.
gave you my best shot. Added to that is one thing you said at the beginning, which is one of the things that most of us don't do. And that is at the end of the day, have a review, in
Hmm.
that post-match analysis of, okay, what happened today? The reason many of us don't get ahead and don't improve in what we do and therefore don't get a better result is because we fail to examine what happened. Where
Yes.
did I miss the turning? At what point did I drop the ball? In what area did we not pull up our strength in this match or in this game today? And that is so paramount in our lives that you've just finished a project. If you're into project management, that's what they call lesson learned, which is the last report that you will write at the end of the project to say, what are the lessons that were learned from this project? And those lessons learned record are kept very well. When a new project is about to start, the first thing they will do is they'll go and read the lessons learned file from the last project. And so the need for us to reevaluate, to reappraise ourselves, to revisit the journey of the day so far in order to put ourselves in a position where not just that we can understand what happened yesterday, learn from our mistakes, but be in a better position today to face today's game. Because every
Absolutely.
day is a game, every day is a match, every day is a new opponent, it's a new challenge. Every day is a new opportunity to be better than we were yesterday. But
That's right.
unless we review what happened yesterday, unless we go through this post-match analysis and identify, was it a 6-0 win? Was it a 1-1 draw? Did we just barely made it? Or was it that the god of soccer was just smiling on us? Or did we lose? But yet, we're happy in our loss because we lost gallantly. And unless we start to review, to go back and re-examine and give ourselves, I wrote down here, personal feedbacks. You give yourself feedbacks to say, okay, this is what happened today. And then use that either as a point of congratulatory or a lesson point, preparing yourself for the next phase. And like you rightly said, Tony, we all have these different results on everyday activities. On every day that we step out of the house, we're going to work, you're dealing with your boss, you're dealing with your spouse, you're attending to the children, including yourself. You have all these results of 6-0, of 1-1, of 2-1, of 3-4, of 5-5. And unless you are able to go back and do these post-match analysis, it will just be a waste. And one of the things you said is sometimes you just have a back to back to back to back loss. You keep losing and losing and losing and losing. And it's like we need to plug this leak somewhere. But every time you try to plug it, you've just lost. The reason sometimes that happens is because these post-match analysis are not done. or
Yeah.
where they have done, we're not telling ourselves the truth, or where we're telling ourselves the truth, we're not taking it to the next level, which is to say, okay, let's apply the lessons that we've learned from this. Let's correct the mistakes that we've identified here. And sometimes it comes down to that one and one thing alone: confidence. What turns a top striker in one club, bought for 50 million pounds, from one evening, got to the new club the next evening, and it's a complete shadow of himself? What's
Mhm.
changed? Confidence. And sometimes, as invincible and almost intangible as it is a major factor in the result that you get on everyday's activities.
That's
What
it.
is your level of confidence? Not just confidence in your skill, not just confidence in your plan, not just confidence in your team members, but generally, what is the overall confidence of the whole atmosphere? Sometimes we approach the game of life thinking, oh, I can take care of that. And then we get the surprise. Sometimes we
Mhm.
approach the game of life thinking, oh, we always beat those things. Oh, yeah, I've done that several times. I know what I'm doing. And then you put your hand in it and it bites your finger off. All of these, all of these can only be distilled and extracted if we will go back and do the post-match analysis and see, because you can't argue with the result.
No, you can't. Hmm.
You may say, well, it wasn't fair. The referee was this, or my boss just didn't understand my point, or my colleague was just being unfair to me, or the challenge was just whatever it is. Now you have the result. You can't argue with the result. All you can do is to learn from the result and move ahead with the lessons you've learned. Mr. Bryce, you've taken us back to school. And I'm so happy that we have you on the program, not just for today, but at least for the next 2 weeks, depending on how much materials we can cover in that period. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, like we said, this platform is called Become a Better Man for a reason. It's to help us become better at who we are primarily. Because until we get better in ourselves, we won't be able to be better in what we do, in how we relate, in our contribution to society and to the people around us. So, Mr. Bryce, we want to thank you
You're
for
very welcome.
adding a big, big feather to our cap, as it were, on this journey of becoming better, on this journey of discovery. And I've said this again and again and again. We are going somewhere. There's a destination that is set before us. We have a part to play in dragging and pulling and bringing the society into a place of peace, joy, happiness, and everything else. And we all have a role to play in it. But you see, our ability to play this role effectively and produce good results and good products will be determined by the quality of who we are in ourselves. And so the essence of this platform is for us to learn, to grow, to expand, to increase, to become better, so that when we arrive at that destination, nobody will be able to argue. In fact, they will have no choice but to say, these are better men and better women. Mr. Bryce, thank you so much. I can't wait for next week. I am so looking forward to next week's program. Let me encourage you. Don't just file away this program tonight. Sit down and listen to it again and again and again. Then do me a favor, share it with somebody. Invite somebody to next week's event, meeting. Listen, it's not about the crowd size. You know me, I'm who comes, fine. If you don't, even if nobody is there, I will still do the program, because I'm not just doing it because I don't have anything else to do. Like I said, it's an opportunity for me as well to grow. Like Tony, in order for him to do what he's done now, he's put so many months and years of preparing, of researching, of thinking, of writing, of changing and editing to come to a point where it's just like hot knife running through butter tonight. So please share it with somebody. Invite somebody else to next week's program. And until then, this is Tunde Disu and Tony Bryce saying good night. God bless you. See you next week. Bye bye.